Hey guys, Megaton Menace here, back with another video. So, today I'm going to be watching and reacting to the latest episode of Death Battle. And this episode is Avatar Korra from Legend of Korra versus Aurora Monroe, Storm from the X-Men. Now, I'm pretty equally familiar with these two characters. However, I like Korra and her show more. However, Storm's gonna win this. She's actually significantly more powerful than Korra. Because this is one of those things where, like, Korra has quantity, but Storm is of a much higher quality. Now, if this fight was against Aang, that would be a lot harder to call. Because the biggest reason is the fact that Aang does have access to the Avatar state, whereas Korra, unfortunately, doesn't. And, yeah. Also, in addition to that, I know that there's a lot of episodes of Death Battle this season I have not reacted to, and that is because I did state earlier that I don't want to, well, reacting to content you don't care about is pointless. And therefore, I decided that if there's a matchup that I don't give a fuck about, I'm not going to react to it. So I know it's been like 6 months or something since the last one I reacted to. So hopefully you guys are glad to see these return. Now, it's also true that I don't know who the next fight is after this, so I don't know when I'll be reacting to the next one. Also, I also think that I'll probably react to the season finale, regardless of the matchup, just due to it being the season finale, but not 100%. Anyway, I've talked about that for way too much. So I think that Storm will win, so without any further ado, let's dive into this.
Avatar Korra, the master of all four elements.
Storm, the X-Men's goddess of the storms. Weather.
The building blocks of our natural world are nothing if not tempestuous and unpredictable.
Which means you gotta be some kind of badass to control them. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Well, okay.
Avatar Aang, savior of the world, uniter of four nations, destroyer of cabbages.
But this has nothing to do with him.
Avatars. After decades of service, he passed away. Humanity would have to move forward.
Well, it's like tangentially related, I guess.
To take up his mantle. But who could fill Aang's shoes? Her name was Korra.
Wiz, who is that?
Did you leave the door open again?
Deuces, gents.
Unlike her carefree predecessor, the hot-headed, obstinate Korra was an Avatar prodigy from day one.
Indeed.
Avatar, you gotta deal with it!
While Aang struggled to accept his role in the world, Korra never wanted to be anything else.
Not only is she an expert hand-to-hand fighter on her own, as a bender, Korra can manipulate the natural world around her through martial arts. And as the Avatar, she is the only living being who can bend all four elements at once.
Yeah, because anyone else just gets one or zero.
Straight from the Southern Water Tribe, Korra can control tendrils of water.
But I guess there are tangential ones, because like Earth and Metal
Aang once raised the sea level to put out
and
these huge
Magma
fires.
are all
Looking at the size of the area and what did it take to submerge it,
and lightning's
he had
part
to
of
move
fire.
over 35 million
And water
metric
includes
tons
ice
of
and blood.
water.
And since
Okay, that's a
Korra
lot.
is a reincarnation of Aang and every past Avatar, she should be just as powerful.
But she's
With
not.
Bending, Korra can heave big-ass boulders around.
She's not, and she doesn't scale to Aang.
The ground beneath her enemy's feet. Kind of like when her Avatar ancestor Kyoshi broke off a chunk of a continent, dragged it across a bay, and basically just created a new island named after herself. Queen.
Yeah, that happened.
By measuring the size of the island to get its mass and the size of the bay to get the distance.
Okay, so basically they're upscaling her they're upscaling Korra using feats that aren't hers, because otherwise she would stand no chance.
Than the entire world's nuclear arsenal detonating at the same time.
With firebending, Korra can fire blasts of, well, fire, jet into the sky like a rocket, or breathe like a friggin' dragon.
The perfect element to match Korra's hot-headed temper. However, her final element was completely different. Due to its inherently zen, free-flowing nature, Korra struggled at first to master airbending.
But
Yeah.
like all good prodigies,
I mean,
she
it's
figured
funny
it out
'cause, like,
anyways.
With airbending, Korra
Aang
could
was
shoot
best
powerful
at
gusts of
water
wind,
and air and
fly around
struggled
on
with fire
tornadoes,
and
create a
earth.
cute little air scooter.
She
And
used
she's
this
the
ability to
opposite,
defeat
'cause, like,
the
even though
bloodbender
she's
Amon,
technically-
who was fast enough to dodge lightning.
Even though
He's
she's
not the only
technically a
one.
waterbender,
Zuko and
because like
Iroh
she's
have
from
caught
like their
Dodge
Eskimo
lightning as
tribe or
well,
whatever,
and
right?
Iroh even caught one from the sky.
She
The
definitely
leader
uses
of a
earth and
lightning bolt
fire the
moves at
most and the
60,000 meters
best.
per second. Comparing the distance Amon moved relative to the bolt, he must have been moving over 200 times the speed of sound.
But Korra's more than just a badass martial arts superhero. She also acts as the bridge between the mortal and spirit worlds.
The spirit
Indeed.
world is a separate plane of reality, and Korra is stronger while she's physically there. Her direct connection isn't coincidence. She and every avatar before her are fused with the spirit of light, Rava. Every time
Yeah.
the avatar dies and reincarnates, Rava searches out the spirit to bond with their new body, a staple of Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. I've done a lot of research into reincarnation, which I'll demonstrate today with Boomstick
Oh my
and
God.
this anvil.
Wait, what?
Now, the Avatar is usually reborn into a different nation, but I've set this up so Boomstick will reincarnate into the nearest
gonna go
vessel.
into the robot.
This identical clone body.
Yep.
Hey, Wiz, I feel funny.
Why are there two of me?
Mistakes were made.
Cut off his leg and everything.
Speaking of messing with your soul, Korra can remove or restore your bending, bring her past lives for advice, and tap into the kick-ass Avatar state.
The
Well-
Avatar state massively boosts Korra's raw bending power.
Yeah,
turning her
she could
into
do that for
effectively a
half the
demigod
show.
And the de facto most powerful being on the planet, if she wasn't already.
Despite that, Korra's no stranger to failure. She was severed from her connection to the past avatars and was almost killed while in the Avatar state.
And technically,
which would have
she didn't
ended her
recover from
cycle
either of those.
reincarnation entirely.
That last brush with death left her physically and emotionally crippled for years. Even after physical therapy, her fiery spirit struggled to reunite.
And that should matter for the
Identity was
fight.
wrapped up in being the Avatar, all the way from day one.
And the biggest trials she had to face were when her place in the world was challenged. Would everyone be better off without an avatar, or bending at all?
But Korra's nothing if not one hell of a fighter. No matter what life threw at her, she always got back up to kick ass.
Korra once blocked an energy blast from a giant spirit cannon, which created
Yeah.
this massive crater in the center of Republic City,
Yeah.
and almost killed everyone.
Taking a look
Yeah.
at the width and depth of this
'Cause
crater
energy
and assuming
bending.
it was all vaporized, Korra must have held back a blast worth almost 6 megatons of TNT.
Okay.
More queen shit.
And during harmonic convergence, Korra tapped into enough spirit energy to turn into a giant kaiju and battle the dark avatar Unalaq for the fate of the world.
Wiz, I told you, we don't talk about season 2.
You have
Day
to
one was
sometimes.
cool.
From taking down anarchist revolutionaries to fascist empires, Korra proved herself as an avatar worthy of her forebearers.
With her teammates Mako and Bolin, teachers like Tenzin and Toph, and badass girlfriend Asami by her side, there was nothing she couldn't do.
Queen shit?
Queen shit.
Right, and it's true, and like, because like at the end of the day,
Your best shot.
Aang took down one arc villain and she took down 4.
Chump.
All right, Storm.
Do you know what happens to a person who's struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else?
Yeah, that's
You
a
got
bad
it.
fucking
Do
line.
you know what happens to white-haired mutants whose parents are killed by a plane crash? They become badass weather witches.
After Aurora Monroe's parents were that, she was forced to fend for herself on the streets of Cairo under the tutelage of Ahmed El-Jabbar.
The life of a street rat wasn't doing it for Aurora, so she took off across the Sahara in search of a real home.
And that's when she began to master her mutant powers. In the same way that Homo sapiens, humans, evolved from earlier hominids like Homo erectus, Homo superior, or mutants, are an offshoot of regular humans. They possess the X gene on their 23rd chromosome that effectively grants them superpowers.
But it's a lottery. You could end up like old Beak here.
Yeah, it could be bad.
Or you could end up like Aurora and possess complete control over the weather itself, while being super hot, unlike Beak.
For all she knew, she was a goddess sent straight from heaven. And that's exactly what the local tribes thought when she arrived in her
Right, because
ancestral
why would they
Indian
think anything
homeland.
else?
Aurora's mutant gene allows her to psionically manipulate the atmosphere, capable of summoning a hurricane with less than a conscious thought.
When she does feel like using conscious thoughts, something Wiz tells me I struggle with, Aurora can create storms that cover the entire
Yeah, see,
Earth.
it
Her weather
scales so
manipulation
much
isn't
higher.
just powerful but precise. She can call upon massive tidal waves, conceal herself in fog, and even generate
It's like, yeah, like,
blizzards cold
technically
enough to freeze
technically
lava.
it's
She can summon
water,
bolts of
ice,
lightning, even ones that are continents away,
wind,
or
and
generate
lightning.
electricity in
Like, she doesn't really have fire
and
or
she
earth,
Zap Cyclops with enough
but it
lightning
scales
to
so much
restart an
higher.
artificial sun called the Ring of Fire, a name that reminds me of the morning after Taco Tuesday.
Encircling the planet Polemarchus, the Ring of Fire provided all the same energy as a regular star.
But
Well,
her
damn.
favorite element is probably wind. With it, she can blow people away with tornadoes, suck the air out of a person's lungs, and
Yeah.
generate enough lift to fly.
I mean,
She
bending
once
can
flew
do that
fast
too.
enough to reach the edge
Just
of
ask
Earth's
Zahir.
atmosphere from ground level in just a few seconds.
By measuring the angle and size of the Earth to get the distance and estimating a time frame of about 5 seconds, Aurora had to have flown at 4,000 times the speed of sound. She can even manipulate solar
Speed.
winds to fly through space. Unlike
Yeah.
winds on Earth, which are just the
'Cause
movement of air
it might
molecules
be
in the
cosmic
atmosphere,
radiation, but
solar
wind is
winds are
wind.
streams of charged particles, mostly electrons and protons, ejected
Actually,
from the sun.
technically,
Almost
there's
as
no.
crazy as how she can breathe in the
Technically,
vacuum of
there's no
space.
air
She
in
creates a
space,
mini
and therefore
atmosphere around
solar wind
herself
is
by
not
gathering,
wind because wind
stray
requires air.
hydrogen atoms. Atoms. Those are like really small. Last time I checked. Are these
Yes.
spiders just giving her whatever powers they want now?
Basically.
How is that weather?
Aurora's abilities apply to any atmospheric conditions, whether they be in outer space or alternate dimensions.
Okay.
Essentially,
Okay.
anything even remotely considered weather.
Man, I wish I had crazy writers giving me random superpowers because it's funny. That'd be awesome. Well, anyways, I'm gonna go use my rocket hands I've always had to get my beer out the fridge. Away!
God damn it.
Perhaps her most useful ability, though, is to sense changes in the weather with a pseudo-sixth sense. Aurora literally sees atmospheric patterns and energy as colors, with the world as her canvas.
Huh.
She's so good with it, she could track a jet flying over New York while
I didn't-
she was fighting the
that's a
Shadow
detail
King in
I either
Wakanda.
didn't
That's
know
on the
or
other
didn't
side of the
remember.
planet. Yeah, no wonder everyone thought she was a goddess. She is.
Aurora enjoyed all the worship and admiration until the day she was contacted by an American, Charles Xavier, with an interesting proposal.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Join
Basically.
the X-Men. Oh, pretty please. They were eaten by this living eyelid. It's a long story, but we're short-staffed.
Xavier founded the X-Men as a team of mutant superheroes that would attempt to mend race relations between Homo sapien and Superior through non-violent means.
Because what better way to teach kids in the 60s about the civil rights movement than with
Right.
a bunch of good
It also,
lily-white
like,
teenagers with superpowers
With it
from
being
upstate
Homo
New York.
sapien and
And
Homo
when she had spent
superior,
enough
it kind of
time
feels like
collecting the
whoever
banks
named
down
it
in
was
Africa, Aurora agreed and
was
assigned
biased
the code
toward
name
mutants.
Storm.
And she more than earned the spot. She's proven herself worthy to wield Mjolnir, led a war against the Inhumans, and even survived a blast from her own lightning.
This is impressive considering her lightning is powerful enough to match Polaris, who once used her powers to punch through Earth's crust all the way to the planet's core. Assuming she pulverized the cylinder of Earth all the way
If she
down,
was able to
she
take a hit from her own lightning, then nothing that Korra throws out can stop
She
her.
once beat the mutant Callisto in unarmed combat, and Callisto has apparently mastered every single martial art known to man.
Despite her unbelievable power, Storm has trained extensively in hand-to-hand combat. Get it? It also probably didn't hurt that she's fast enough to dodge literal beams of light.
Oh yeah, I mean, with her power set, that's
And
not
after
surprising.
kicking Callisto's ass, she became the queen of these sewer-dwelling mutants called the Morlocks. She really just couldn't escape being worshipped, could she? Even by grody underground monster people.
Well, she
Yeah.
later married the Black Panther T'Challa and became Queen of Wakanda too, so she really runs the gamut.
It's
But
the
even
destiny.
demigods have their Achilles heels. That plane crash from her childhood left her crushed under rubble for days, giving her a bad case of claustrophobia that rears its ugly head every once in a while.
But that's not enough to stop this queen. After the departure of Scott Summers, Storm
Okay.
became the leader of the X-Men, because of course she did.
And when Geordie LaForge eventually came crawling back, the two fought over who would
So,
lead the team.
like, trapping her
Scott
inside
literally
rocks
being
might...
able to shoot death lasers from
might
his
help.
eyes, Storm kicked his ass. And even better, she didn't even have her powers at the time.
As it should be, because there's no one more devoted to her team than Storm is. She may be an Omega-level mutant, but her greatest superpower is her bottomless compassion.
Mess with her team, and you'll watch as Aurora's heart of gold quickly turns to ice, as she quite literally steals your breath away.
Indeed.
It's time you remembered why they call me Storm.
Cool.
All right, the
So,
capacitors
yeah,
are set, and we've run the data through all
Watching the
possibilities.
analysis did not change my mind. Like, I still think Storm should and will win this. Sorry, Korra.
I'm so bored.
Your powers are impressive, but you lack discipline.
I'm the Avatar, master of all elements. You want to see for yourself?
Of course, Avatar. I'll show you what an X-Men can do.
It is funny too because like it makes sense that they would want to make them have a wind battle, but like that's Storm's best element and Korra's worst element. So like you kind of got to have Earth versus wind basically.
Lightning and airbending? Starting to feel a little less special here.
Yeah. It's definitely true that like even though the Avatar is special within their own continuity, they're really not special when compared to others. Because like there are so many characters that have all the elements.
Who are you? Answer me!
Freak of nature.
Gotta get out. Scott, Jean, Logan. I won't let you down!
The power of friendship! My cabbages!
I'll never be safe!
Nope.
You're no bender.
No, she's not. Ouch. Yeah, they gotta let Korra get some good licks in before she gets killed. Okay. Actually using Rava. She can take those hits though.
I know what you are, Spirit of Storms.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Nah. GG.
You fought nobly, Avatar.
Cool. Now it's pretty obvious why, but tell us anyway.
I just queen shit myself. This fight wasn't totally straightforward. Korra can dominate most fighters pretty easy with her raw bending power and martial arts skills, especially with the Avatar state. Not even some of the best benders on the planet like Zahir and Kuvira could stand up to her at her best.
However, despite Korra's awesome Avatar powers, she found herself outmatched by Storm's skill, precision, and overwhelming force.
Yeah.
For instance, Storm's massively hypersonic flight and ability to sense and control weather across the planet meant she could always fight safely from a distance.
Korra trained in martial arts from birth, but even if she did manage to get in close and fight hand-to-hand, Storm's experience with the X-Men and defeating Callisto meant she could keep up.
While Korra may have fought people who can dodge lightning, Storm can dodge literal beams of light.
Which are faster.
Even just using her flight speed exiting the atmosphere, she'd still be nearly 20 times faster than Korra.
Korra did
Right.
have access to elements like fire and earth that Storm didn't. If she somehow found out about Storm's claustrophobia, she could theoretically trap her in some rocks to exploit it.
But Storm would be more than powerful enough to just
See,
break out.
speed really
Lightning was
matters
strong
because,
enough to
like,
match
20
Clark,
times
to
faster,
hold
like,
the Earth
that's
all the way
literally
down to its
like
core.
Yeah,
a
ultimately,
person
Storm was
running,
just way more
racing a
powerful.
person in
Remember
a
that
car.
planet-sized
Like, it's
storm she
completely
created?
one-sided.
Well, I know clouds are lighter than air, but those are a shit ton of clouds and need a lot of work to move around.
By measuring their volume and the speed at which they moved, the energy Storm needed for this would be over 500 exatons of TNT, about 250 times more powerful than what Korra could output.
Okay.
And considering this is the same woman who was powerful enough to
Because it's
reignite an
megaton, then
artificial star,
gigaton,
results
and
like that
then
aren't
exaton, I
outliers.
think.
Even taking the fight to the spirit world wouldn't have helped, considering Storm has manipulated alien weather from outer space and alternate dimensions.
Yep.
She'd have no problem adapting
Yep.
there. And considering Storm's powers are
Cool.
genetic in nature, not spiritual, Korra would not be able to depower her with energy bending.
And
Yeah.
none of that is
Yeah.
counting the ways Storm could have ended the fight right off the bat, like sucking the air right out of Korra's lungs or generating a lightning storm in her brain.
Korra was a tenacious, unrelenting
Yeah.
opponent. But Storm's massive
Okay.
range, precise control, deadly skill,
Yeah,
and
this-
unbelievable power.
This is
won
definitely
her this
one of
fight.
those ones where
Get bent out of shape. Korra just couldn't weather
Storm
the
really
storm.
does scale much higher, and it was
Winner is Storm.
mostly done for the cosmetic and
Thanks for watching this
aesthetic and
episode. If you
thematic
want even more
similarities.
action, you should check out the new season of Genlock
All right,
on
what's
HBO
next?
Max, starring Michael B. Jordan, Dakota Fanning,
Yeah,
Dick
I haven't
Tinsley.
watched any of Genlock 2 yet, but I want to, and I'm going to soon. Some Naruto guy. Okay. So I will not be here for next week, and I don't even know who Aizen is, which means that it's probably a character from another popular shonen series, and therefore it's probably someone from Bleach, or it's a newer character and it's like Demon Slayer or some shit. Regardless, so yeah, that was a good episode for sure. Definitely enjoyed it. Will not be here for Madara versus Aizen because I don't care about the matchup at all. So, and therefore, and yeah, whenever there's another matchup that seems legit, yeah. What's interesting is that the only other thing I feel like is worth saying is that of all the episodes I did not react to, there is actually only one that I considered reacting to, and that was the Akuma versus Shao Kahn from before. However, the reason why I didn't react to that is because that would be a fight where, long story short, I don't know shit about Akuma, and I really like Shao Kahn, so that's one where, like, I would want Shao Kahn to win, and I would be rooting for him the entire time, and it would literally be, if he won, I'd be happy, and if he lost, I'd be disappointed, because I don't know anything about Akuma. And that's why I decided to ultimately not watch it. But I think that Shao Kahn did win, I think, and if so, cool. But I don't know if he should have, because I don't know anything about Akuma, but yeah, regardless. Anyway, I've talked on and rambled on long enough. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, peace.